Did you know that one man's conquest was so deadly that it actually cooled the Earth's climate? History calls Genghis Khan a monster, but the truth is far more complex than you've been told. Welcome to 3Min Knowledge. Before we dive into the dark secrets of the Mongol Empire, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let's redefine history together. The story of the Mongol Empire is not just a story of war, but a story of how the modern world was forged in fire and blood. To understand the scale of what Genghis Khan achieved, we must first look at the world he inherited. In the early 13th century, the world was a collection of fractured kingdoms, isolated by vast distances and constant petty warfare. The Silk Road, once a thriving artery of trade, was broken and infested with bandits. Into this chaos stepped a man named Temujin, who would later be known as Genghis Khan. His rise to power is the ultimate survival story. Abandoned by his tribe and hunted by his enemies, Temujin learned early that the only thing that mattered was loyalty and results. When he finally united the nomadic tribes of the Mongolian steppe in 1206, he didn't just build an army, he built a machine. This machine was designed for one thing: total expansion. The statistics of his conquests are staggering and, to many, unforgivable. Historians estimate that the Mongol invasions resulted in the deaths of up to 40 million people. To put that in perspective, that was about 10% of the entire global population at the time. Entire civilizations were wiped off the map. In Persia, the Mongols destroyed the ancient irrigation system so thoroughly that the region didn't recover its agricultural capacity for 7 centuries. In China, the population plummeted by tens of millions. This is why history remembers him as the Scourge of God, a man who turned flourishing cities into graveyards. But if we stop the story there, we miss the most important part of the Mongol legacy. Behind the piles of skulls and the smoking ruins of cities, Genghis Khan was implementing a radical new vision for how a world should be run. He was perhaps the first true globalist. While Europe was suffocating under the rigid structures of the Dark Ages, where your birth determined your destiny and religious descent meant death, the Mongol Empire was operating on a completely different set of rules. Genghis Khan established a meritocracy. He didn't care if you were the son of a king or the son of a shepherd. If you were brave, loyal, and talented, you could rise to the highest levels of his government. This was a revolutionary concept that challenged every existing power structure in Eurasia. Furthermore, he granted total religious freedom to everyone within his borders. In a Mongol city, you could find mosques, churches, and Buddhist temples standing side by side. The Khan himself was curious about all faiths, often inviting scholars and priests from across the world to debate philosophy and theology in his palace. But his greatest contribution to the modern age was the Pax Mongolica, or the Mongol Peace. By brutally suppressing bandits and local warlords, the Mongols made the Silk Road safe for the first time in centuries. It is said that a young woman carrying a gold nugget on her head could walk from one end of the empire to the other without being harmed. This safety allowed for an unprecedented exchange of ideas, technology, and culture. The West received gunpowder, the compass, and paper-making from the East. The East received European medicine and mathematical concepts from the Islamic world. Without this massive transfer of knowledge, the European Renaissance might never have happened. Genghis Khan also created the world's first international postal system, the YAM. This system of relay stations allowed messages to travel across the vast empire at incredible speeds, essentially creating the medieval version of the Internet. It was this connectivity that allowed the empire to function as a single economic unit, creating the world's first free trade zone. Traders could move goods from the shores of the Pacific to the gates of Europe, under the protection of a single law. However, we cannot ignore the cost of this progress. The Mongol Peace was built on a foundation of absolute terror. If a city surrendered, they were usually spared and taxed. If they resisted, they were liquidated. This surrender or die policy was a psychological weapon that allowed the Mongols to conquer territories much larger than their own population could ever occupy. They used biological warfare, catapulting plague-infested corpses over city walls, and utilized the most advanced engineering of their time to bring down the strongest fortifications in the world. So, how do we judge such a man? Was he a genocidal tyrant who set human progress back by centuries through destruction? Or was he a visionary architect who broke the old, stagnant world to make room for something new and interconnected? This is the paradox of Genghis Khan. He was a protector of scholars and a butcher of kings. He brought the world together, but he did it by tearing it apart first. The legacy of the Mongol Empire is written in our DNA and in the borders of our modern maps. Recent genetic studies suggest that millions of men living today are direct descendants of Genghis Khan, a biological testament to his overwhelming impact on history. His laws, his trade routes, and his administrative systems laid the groundwork for the modern age. Now I turn the question to you. History is rarely black and white, and the Mongol Empire is the ultimate shade of grey. Do the lives of 40 million people outweigh the birth of a connected modern world? Was the Mongol Empire a necessary evil that dragged humanity out of the Middle Ages? Or was it an unforgivable catastrophe that we have simply tried to justify through time? Look at the evidence, consider the progress, but never forget the cost. Let's start the war in the comments. I want to hear your side of this debate. Who was Genghis Khan to you? A hero of the modern age, or history's greatest villain? Let's settle this below. Thank you for watching 3Min Knowledge. Stay curious, and we will see you in the next deep dive.